Corley Moore coming at you. Wanted to talk very briefly before the scrap starts tonight. And if you know me, you know that I love the vigilantes. I love the like-minded souls, and I'm always looking for ways that we can have more interaction. One of the things that every vigilante says when they join is they're looking to connect with those like-minded souls. They're looking to connect with other vigilantes and people who feel the way they feel. And so I'm constantly looking for ways to make that happen. So far, I love Patreon. I love Patreon for bringing us together, but it hasn't created that the ability to share information and things the way I wanted. But one thing we did discover was that Discord is integrated into Patreon. So we've been working for the last couple weeks to launch a Discord server where the vigilantes can get together and hang out. Now, I'll be the first person to say I am not a tech guru. I'm much better at forcing doors and hook and sealing. I'm better at destroying stuff than I am at using technology. But that being said, Discord has so many options that look like they could be phenomenal for the vigilantes and for our growth and for the fellowship and the camaraderie that we want to share. It's got chat rooms that you can post in, separated by category, where we can have great discussions. It's got voice channels you can jump in and have voice discussions with people at the drop of a hat without needing to start a Zoom call or anything. You just drop in and drop out. You can share screens. We have plans. People have plans to share classes that they've built so they can get feedback before they go and teach those classes. I mean, there's so much that could be used for this Discord server, and we're just scratching the surface. So get in, come be a part of it, man. It looks to be an incredible platform, and if you want to be a part of it, head over to patreon.com/thevigilantes. Become a part, man. If you're not a vigilante, why not? $5 a month. You can't even afford a fancy coffee nowadays for $5. So $5 a month, you're a member of the like-minded souls. So come be a part. Looking forward to seeing and talking to you in the Discord. Stay safe.
In the demanding world of firefighting, training against real-world scenarios is crucial. Yet traditional training facilities often fall short in providing realistic, versatile, and cost-effective training solutions. Affordable Drill Towers presents a groundbreaking solution. By positioning an affordable drill tower alongside your existing Connex boxes burn buildings, a realm of realistic, multi-level training scenarios is unlocked. This integration has been adopted successfully by various fire departments, enhancing their training capabilities exponentially. Delve into the heart of live fire training scenarios within the Connex boxes, now amplified by the ADT's multi-floor access, providing an unparalleled training ground.
We started looking at Connex boxes about probably 10 years ago. To me, you can't beat them, especially for the price. The Affordable Drill Tower was the same way. We've got 6 floors, we've got standpipes on every floor, we've got more anchor points than you can count, we've got removable floors, removable stairs. We can go into the 2nd and 3rd floor off the drill tower, so whether you want us to use it as an external stairwell or a high-rise, we can do all that and mimic just about any type of situation that the members of the fire department might encounter.
Experience cost-effectiveness, enhanced realistic training, versatile operations, easy multi-floor access, and innovative solutions to age-old training challenges. Take your fire department's training to the next level with Affordable Drill Towers. Reach out to Affordable Drill Towers to elevate your training capabilities today.
Corley Moore, Firehouse Vigilance. It is weekly scrap number 268. My guest tonight is Justin McWilliams. He is a fireman for the citizens of Clackamas Fire in Oregon, whom he serves his people by way of a heavy rescue. Justin believes, this is a quote, "We are here to make decisions based on our experience, our knowledge, and the conditions. To get the best outcomes for the families we protect. To be professionals, we need to encourage a culture of questioning and critiquing our training and fireground performances. The deep discussions that break into the why and make us uncomfortable is where we have growth. If you know Justin, you know he is not afraid to speak his mind, and I am looking forward to the scrap tonight. Welcome back, my brother, Justin McWilliams, as the guest of Weekly Scrap number 268.
All right. Let's get it on. Bring those questions, boys.
They're coming. Is there anything I missed or anything you would like to add?
That was already too long. You know that. Like, I think you made that shit up from the last time.
No, I did. I had to go dig because you did not send much as far as you are like anti bio.
Yes, I am.
Audience, get your questions ready. Kyle is in the chat. He is monitoring. Sam is in the chat. He is also monitoring. We are watching. Get your questions ready and send them so that Justin can absolutely crush them. Now let's do the beautiful sponsors. We'll get those done and we'll get to scrapping. Here we go. Number one, Affordable Drill Towers, on a mission to bring you cost-effective and versatile training props, like the Affordable Bailout Prop, which allows you to practice window bailouts, ladder and ladder high point rescues. They also make the Affordable Standpipe Prop, which you can roll into the classroom for standpipe theory and then roll it into the parking lot and pump realistic flows and pressures. Of course, their mainstay is the Affordable Drill Tower. It comes in several configurations and standard with a standpipe system. Choose from 1 or 2 sets of stairs, integrated into your existing Connex boxes for multi-story access or freestanding on a slab. All models are NFPA 1402 compliant and gain you ISO credit. The only thing you can't do on an Affordable Drill Tower is live fire training. Call Steve 844-55-TOWER or drop an email to info@affordabledrilltowers.com. When it comes to performance under pressure, you need equipment that won't let you down. That's where American-made Snap-Tight comes in. It's built tough for firefighters. Snap-Tight hose is engineered to perform under pressure. Plus, Snap-Tight hose are easy to deploy and even easier to rely on. With unmatched heat resistance, unmatched abrasion, and really resistant to extreme temperatures. Here's the best part. They offer guaranteed shipping and 4-week lead time. Visit snaptighthose.com to learn more or find a distributor near you. Snap-Tight hose, reliable, durable, ready when you are. FirestationFurniture.com provides a complete line of quality furniture for your firehouse. It's firefighter owned and operated. They understand the strain firefighters put on furniture and offer furniture that's built to last. Visit www.firestationfurniture.com for more information. And last, but definitely not least, one of my favorite people on this planet, Insight Fire Training, thermography certified fire service professionals. Insight Fire Training specializes in training individuals across the globe in the tactical use of thermal imaging cameras in emergency services. Insight Fire Training developed the world's first thermography-based collegiate firefighter certification and trains firefighters, manufacturers, and industrial professionals across the globe. Man, and if you know Andy Starnes, you know how much I love that man. So, all that being said, we are ready to scrap. Audience, let's see what you got to say. We got them checking in from the 850, Columbus, Georgia. Got the flannel. Oh, Josh Everest one says, got the flannel. Where's the flippies? There you go.
I don't got any flippies on.
Excellent. There's so much hype already. I can't even read it all. There's like 40 comments already. All right. Justin, we're going to kick it off. I'm not sure. Not sure the audience was ready for that.
What, my foot? Bro, it's Indigenous Day. It's my day.
It is McWilliams Day. He is the wild card. All right, audience, send your questions because we're going to kick it off with the first due engine. Start talking to me about the first due engine. We'll start with a soft toss, and you take it whatever direction you want to go.
Yeah, so I think it's really been coming to light lately. A lot of discussions going on just about my page, right? Like our page, search culture. Is that I even had coworkers like, oh, it's all about search with our department. And we go and talk to people that me, like I'll throw out my name out there. I'm like, hey man, like I run this page. You got issues or something? Either comment or give me a call. And definitely going around the country and talking. Well, I'm in Canada now, and talking with people is just really come to light that they believe that I am like this most aggressive searcher in the world. Like, and I'm talking like I'll go to class and I say, hey, all right, here's my house. This is my daughter's room. I'm 100% sure my daughter's in that room. Fire's blowing out of that room. And people are like, I'm on a first due engine. What am I going to do? And I at least have one person. It used to be more. They'd be like, well, you're going to dive through that window. And it's like, no. I'm not going to dive through that window. I'm not going to dive through that window for my daughter, my wife, not your kids. I'm like, that's not what's good for our civilians. And so I wanted to start out with this of like letting them know, like when we came in, I was talking about, I was thinking about this, like went up to Canada and taught. They were pulled me aside afterwards, and they're like, "Dude, we are so surprised. Like we thought you were gonna come in here and be a little too aggressive with like some of your search culture stuff, like we do. I put on the Book of Faces, and a lot of your stuff aligned with like Brent Brooks, who's a Canadian, which I've never even met, and he's high rise fire. But you're talking about the first new engine and knowledge of fire location and suppression and what's going on. And so it kind of got my thinking. And then we got into Denver last week, and then a couple of us were driving in, and we were talking about it and how they've kind of had some of the same talks. Here's the deal: search culture page is about search, and it's a story. You cannot get everything that I believe out of one post. Sometimes when I post, I try to post for comments so that we can have deeper discussion. Sometimes I post to give context. I get a lot of feedback from people all the time. Hey, use capitals. You sound like an idiot. Well, if you notice in the last probably 4 months, I got three of them my whole life. But I'm like, okay, fine. You know what? If I can keep these three people's attention and their crews to keep them on the page and to learn and to talk and comment, then I'm going to change it up because it was a pain in the ass to keep all lowercase anyways. So and then I'll get more feedback of like, hey, dude, you put out this shit, but then you don't have the context sometimes, and like it's all for interpretation, and it sounds like this, and I'm like, okay, well, here's my issue. If I give too much context, you can go look right now. You put the last biggest post, and like it's about family rooms, and it's like, oh, okay, a few people read it because they don't have the time. But yet you'll find another one, the one before that I talk about some new acronym people are using. Don't even mention that acronym right now. We can't talk
Okay.
about it. But people are like, yeah, and it's like, hell yeah, then share, like, and it's like I'm not here for the likes and the shares, but what I am here for is like that content and that context. And sometimes I don't want to give it. So, because I want us to evolve together. I'm not the search wizard. I'm just a guy. So, that being said, if I'm on an engine company and I arrive to my house on fire, I am 100% sure that my children are inside. No matter how big that fire is, not about 99%, 9% of the time, I am having a line stretched. We are going to force the door. We're going to stretch that line through the front door. We are going to start taking back space. Is that we're going to be flowing that line. So we have a 188 with 15 16. So we're throwing 170 gallons a minute. Is that how these structures are placed nowadays? We can't look at you can't look at a structure and go, oh, 3 windows of fire, that's a 2.5. 4 windows of fire, it's a 4.5. That's not how this works. We're only taking back one box at a time. So when we go in there, we're going to pull our 188 and almost 99.9% of the time in our residential structures, and we're going to go through the front door, and we're going to read that building, and we're going to stop the fire where it's at, so I can protect my searchers to go get my children. Now I'm not going to be on the line. I'm going to put the best nozzleman on the line, and then we're going to go back, and then they're going to start taking back space. So they protected the searchable space already. And now they're going to be taking back one room at a time at a box and pushing that fire back to make more searchable space. So when more people come in, and I'm 100% sure that my kids are inside that room, but you know what? I get there and they're not in there. And now where's my anxiety? Where's your anxiety if you're riding the rig with me? Is it, no, guess what? Like, no, they took a dump in the middle of the night. I don't know what they did. With my wife right now, she's sleeping on the couch because she just had emergency surgery. So she's sleeping out on that couch. And it's like, we can't put all of our efforts towards my two girls. We need to put the efforts towards searchable space. So that's kind of what I want to lead off on, of like, you got to read the story. My story is that I am about water, is that we need to locate the fire first, but the American Fire Service doesn't understand that as well as we used to, or some bigger departments do, because they're mostly engine companies. But engine companies, if you're all engine companies, you guys default to locating fire first. So if you do start talking about search, and when I start talking about search, and I'm talking about searching for life, fire's already been located by the engine company, which most of you guys' departments have already had. If you guys are searching ahead of the line or before an engine company shows up, my priority, if I show up with 2, 1, 3, we're going for fire. We're locating the fire. We're going to try to confine the fire. We're going to decide if we're going to extinguish, hold back, or confine it. We're going to communicate the location, and then we're going to go. Well, depending on the structure of the house, I want to talk about this later, is that I'm going for life. If I'm with 4, I can split that company, and we're going to search my 2 inside guys. They're getting off the rig, all ready to go. They're not masked up, but I'm not going to fight that battle. Like, depending on what your company does, but it's more like they're going to go. They're going to show up. They're packed up. They're ready to go. They're going to go inside first because they're ahead of me and my driver, who takes another minute to throw their pack. So they're going for fire because that is their priority, and then we're going through whatever means possible, which that's why we, as my company, and I especially, go through windows more often than doors when we go to fires, is because we already have the knowledge of fire location, fire extension. Is there water in the fire? Is there not? And they're working at the fire, and they get the direct fire assault area that the NFPA or IFSTA and all those textbooks are talking about. I'm going for life, where 45% of our victims are at per the firefighter rescue survey. I am going to upstairs to where the bedrooms are at, where the smoke has been longer than it has been on floor 1, even though it's a floor 1 fire. As long as it's not, well, I want to talk about this a little bit later, but as long as it's not direct fire assault, which my other guys are getting.
Love it, man. And I love it coming out the gate and addressing the misconception, especially because of the search culture page. Absolutely, creates a lot of discussion. It does.
Yeah, it is negative. I don't like, that's the thing. It's like there's a lot of negative stuff out there, Corley, and like they that people are like, that guy's a turd, and like that guy's an idiot, or that guy doesn't know shit. Like I had one today. It's like, where's this guy from? This guy's an idiot. So the guy contacted me, and he's out of the FDNY. He's out of a ghetto area that's a very busy truck. But we talked, and he's like, "Oh yeah, dude. Okay. Like I got to go back and read it." And we talked about it. I'm like, you know what? And then we led to other discussions on other posts, and it's like it was great. He's like, there's a huge thing right now. There's a huge push on people, um, you know, non-instructors out there that are pretty upset about the social medias because they're pushing a lot of things that people don't do. Now, I don't talk about anything on the. So I was talking to this guy, Joe, and I'm like, I don't talk about anything that I don't do. I search through Windows a lot, and we search for fire a lot, and we search ahead of the line a lot. But I also I am anti it depends. And the only reason I'm anti depends is because I want you to tell me a scenario that you are faced with. Because I can't go through, you have a 1-person rig, a 2-person rig, a 3-person rig, a 4-person rig, you got a medic, and then you have all this other things going on. Sometimes I try to break it down. So sometimes I do the family room one that I just posted probably a day or two ago. I talked about if you had a two-person crew or a 3-person crew, because I'm trying to hit more of the fire service to relate, because people are saying we're short-staffed. Well, I don't know what short-staffed even means. We talked about it in 164. I'm like, we had to come back to that question because I'm like, what does that even mean? I mean, does that mean you arrive with 6 total or 2 at a time? And so what I really want to be able to do is, like, instead of depends, like, hey, actually, well, we arrive with only 2 on the first 2 engine. This is what I'm thinking. And I'm like, well, great. That's a great discussion. But that's a whole different discussion if you arrive with 3. So to me, it doesn't depend, because I say that. Because if you arrive with 2 on a balloon frame, fire coming out of the 2nd story in a hydranted area on the West Coast, and somebody else does it on the East Coast, another one in Wyoming, another in Oklahoma, if we have the same staffing and we have the same water, which we do, in the same building, we should probably be fighting the fire the same way. Our priorities are the same. Locating fire is our priority. No matter what rig you show up on, locating fire is our priority. I mean, even as I show up in a buggy. I mean, if you're not going to go inside and you're going to sit in your rig and roll up your windows and listen to tunes and the AC and the radios, it's fine. But what's the chief want to know?
Yeah.
They want to know the fire location.
Yeah, where it's at, man. Love it. Are you ready for questions from the audience? Let's see, Kyle. I'm coming at you, Kyle.
As long as none of them come from Romagus, we're good.
They're stacking up. I'm sure Romagus will have some.
Oh
Um, let me see. I got some coming from Indianapolis from James Mitchell-Lisco. I like this one from O. Cole. I don't know who O. Cole is, but he did see you in Hawaii.
yeah.
So he says, ask Justin about his start of shift routine. Hearing him talk in Hawaii was a mindset changer for our crew.
Man. Well, I don't know what I said there,
Okay.
but shift for us is that, and that was a few years ago, right? Is that, depending on what house you go to, but when you come to my house, or like, and when I say I mean like my house because that's where I work, not because I'm the captain of the house. But when you come to our house, we have a job board, and there's a lot of pushback in the very beginning of this job board because it's like, oh, we're not the FDNY. I want to be versatile. Like I want to be able to pick whatever tool I want. I want to be told what to do. We'll figure it out when we kind of get there. And I didn't get a ton of pushback because I work with some of the best firefighters for Clackamas. Like, there are a lot of the senior guys. They've been through the engine company, and most of them have been on trucks for 10, 15 years and whatnot. But what that job board did for us is that when you come in there and you are not normally assigned there, that's one of the first things you kind of look at, and it creates questions. And it's like, hey, they usually come to me and they're like, hey, Cap, which I hate, Justin, whatever. Call me something. Just, hey, you. How about, hey, you? Hey, you, what do you want me to do for this? And I'm like, well, let's look at the board, and then I need you to talk to your partner. Don't talk to me. You need to talk to the other firefighter, because our two firefighters in the back seat are together. You guys need to be on the same page. He's going to lay you out. And then when we're done with that, when you come upstairs, we'll talk about it as a company of how we're going to operate in general. But right now I need you on the same team as your crew, because when we split and it's 30 seconds from putting our gear on the rig, then I need you on the same page as him, not me necessarily, because he's going to be dictating that. So yeah, I mean, realistically, we come in, we all of our guys, we prioritize fire just like most of the fire service. We set up our gear. I did switch to when I turn on my SCBA, and I don't remember where I heard it from, but I heard from a guy that had a Mayday, is that put your arm in the sling so that you don't just turn it on, breathe it down, mask up with gloves on or whatever with the BA still in the seat, but actually put your arm through it when you turn it off, and then you can actually click it with your right hand. Because if you don't get used to it, he got in a stressful situation. He couldn't find it. So that's something I switched up. So we go through that, make sure I can do my map, because my map's the biggest deal, right? Got to get us to the call. And then every one of our guys goes through every single compartment every day. And then when we go through our compartment, we go upstairs. So I think that's what he's talking about. It's just more of like, it's pretty big for us to make sure that we're on the same page before we go upstairs. If you show up in flip-flops and don't have a set of socks on you and shorts and a Hooters shirt, and we get a box or a baby code or something that's significant, well, you're rolling in that. I'm not waiting for you to go upstairs to go get socks. We're not going to wait for you to go get dressed, to go get a uniform on. Our fire chief supports that hey, it's a significant call. We got to get out the door.
Love it, man. Check it all and go through a donning and mask up every day. He summarized it very, very well.
Try to. I don't do it every day anymore. I used to. The mask up part, I do it most days, but not every day now.
Right on.
I'm lazy.
It'll come for everybody.
Yeah.
James Mitchell-Lisco is asking you, can you please hit on gear, specifically gear selection and consideration of THL, TPP, and the SCBA mask?
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things I talk about in our classes, and so James knows, is that when we go up and we start talking about gear and what kind of gear is your department in? Let's just talk. Everybody talks about, when you talk about gear, they talk about your turnouts, your bunkers, and it's like, why are you in that gear? And most people are like, well, that's because logistics picked it out, or it's because there's a couple chiefs up top that decided this is what it is. But you come down to it, go ask them, because I used to be on the committee with my current fire chief, and then he's now another fire chief in another department, another guy that retired out. But when we went over and we started looking into gear 10 years ago, maybe more, and we started looking at what was really happening, is that our logistics, by no fault of their own, were ordering what the manufacturers told them to order. They said this is the newest, safest gear. They're like, what does that even mean? So when we
Right.
actually looked into it, our gear was the most expensive gear on the market. Most likely was probably had the most ROI for them. And so, yeah, of course they're going to sell it. It's like, yeah, this is the latest, greatest. Like this one has the DRD in it now. And this one has like this SCB has this new pass device that turns on. It's 12 times heavier, but whatever. And has a 33% bell, versus a 20%, whatever, right? It's all up to date. It's all good. I mean, obviously the NFPA, we can't get around that, but you can. The FDNY, they don't do NFPA, they don't do OSHA, they don't do any of that stuff. They do the FDNY. So you can. It's just a decision you have to make. But they're also self-insured, which a lot of us can't do. But when we're looking at gear, we're like, our thermal layer was 1350 degrees. And it's like, okay, that's what it's set at. And it's like, but our mask is 500 for 5 minutes. And we just kind of broke it down. We're like, okay, well, if our mask is gone, why do we care about our gear so much? And then, like, what's the lowest step gear? And it's like 1050. And it still hits the requirements. And it's like, well, okay, is it cheaper? Yeah. Okay, but we're not going to go just off of price. But when you start looking into it, what we were doing is that we were tearing holes in our gear. We only had one set at that time. We'd tear holes in our gear, and we didn't want to get out of our gear, so we'd wear holes. And so we go to fires, and then now if you have one less layer, let's say near your nutsack, which is pretty big for a lot of us, is that you got to burn up there. That's an issue. Just because we had a hole, because we didn't want to send them in. How long is it going to take? 6 weeks to get them back? And so our abrasion, the problem is that there's a balance between like temperature and abrasion resistance. And so, and all this information is actually back from about 8-10 years ago. I haven't gone back to the factory lately. And actually, I passed off the PPE to about 8 or 10 guys now, so they do it. But we were more concerned about the abrasion resistance than we were the temperature. So we swapped. We swapped some 10 years ago, whatnot, and we went to something that is you can't even get anymore. Both our thermal layer and our thermal liner on the inside and our I swatched those out. Sorry, I messed that up earlier, but whatever. You can delete that later. But then your outside shell is that we went through something that was like invented in like the 90s, and the guys liked it. And so if the guys like it, they're more willing to wear it during training. And so when they're more willing to wear it during training, isn't that what we want? We want to train for the probabilities and not the possibilities. So what we'd have is like we'd have guys that would shed coats, including myself. I'm like, we had cuffs around our, like shrink cuffs around our arms and our legs, and it didn't breathe very well. And so eventually what we did is we went back to, we were paying until a year and a half ago, we were paying $1,800 a set for custom morning prides until morning prides kind of went out and then it came back in. But that's probably less, that's probably about half of what you guys are all paying for now. And so that's kind of what started our adventure of like just looking into what does it really look like? What really matters? We can't affect our mask. Our mask is set what it is. Like there's only a couple manufacturers, they all have the same testing. But when you're talking about gear, what are we really looking at?
Right, right. No, that's that abrasion and TPP thing is a game changer when you think about it. Um, I like this one coming at you. Oh yeah, this is Kyle. You said Kyle. Kyle questions coming out. He's asking about the Clackamas search manual. He said last episode he asked about the history of the search manual, but this time he says there are a couple versions out on the net. Can you fill us in on the newest version and what standout changes have been made to the current version?
So the biggest deal with our current version is two things. One, we took the UL study that we talked about last time on 164, and what we did is that even though I believe that science is a faith, it's only as good as the humans that are producing the science, right? I mean, whatever. I mean, what the world's age has never changed. I mean, it obviously changes every second, but what science tells us now is it's like twice as old as it was 10 years ago. And so, okay, but how does it affect us? That's what really matters. So that UL study, how it affected us is that we took the rescue height, the 1 foot versus 3 foot, and that the 1 foot, even though it was 3 times slower than the 3 feet up in the air, if they're breathing, is that they came out worse. So I don't really like those
Wait,
are
wait, wait. I
all
want to dig in a little bit.
yeah.
1 foot, 1 foot, keeping them below, keeping the victim's airway, if they're breathing below 1 foot, was
Yeah, so
slower,
1 foot, 3 foot. This one's 3 times faster, and we get them out.
right?
We're saying that the one at 1 foot was actually better off
Okay. Overall, the
overall, and
proximity or elevation mattered more than duration.
toxicity.
Okay.
Yes,
Toxicity exposure time.
yeah, and so and per be it versus duration, and so I am not going to put all of my fruits in that basket because they're not humans. They wouldn't allow us to use humans in that environment, nor pigs. But what we can do is like, well, that makes sense from my experience. When I go in a fire without a mask on, I'm better off lower. When we find victims and they're lower in the elements, which we had, there was one in October 18th or November 18th of 2018 or so in Medford. Uh, Two children, sisters, same room, underneath the bed, on top of the bunk bed, pulled out at the same time. The one underneath was coughing and survived. The one on top did not. Now it's only one instance,
Sure.
so that's not enough for anything.
Not a
But
huge sample size, but
not a huge thing.
anecdotally and you're
But
experientially.
it it makes sense, does it not? It doesn't go against our
Absolutely.
experience at all. So what we did is we took that and we made that all of our rescues are head down, except so all of them are head down, feet first or head first. Their head has to be on the ground, except when you get into extremes, which would be like combative patients. Like obviously, like Timmy was like Down syndrome, autism, or if they're on meth, or how about a victim that just takes a couple puffs of that smoke, and now they're going to be erratic. And so those, if they start going down, you have to pull them out, and you can't like just assist them out. Is that I'm going to do the bear hug and just drag them out, and their airway is going to be higher, and it might affect them long term. But what's the alternative? Them
Right.
fighting me, taking my mask off, and whatnot. So that's one. The other thing that changed in the latest version, which I hope that you guys can all, I need to get it up on the webs because I ain't gonna lie, it's a pain in my ass. Just keep on sending this out. I just don't have a web page, and so you can't put this document on the web page and then update it whenever I can. And Cody, bless his heart, he's no computer wizard, so it takes him 28 years to get that done, right? And so, and I don't even think they have the Wi-Fi up there in Montana. The other thing we changed is that we don't talk about split search or guided search anymore because we never did it and we don't teach it. And so it was just a slow progression. And more what we talk about is, hey, when you don't feel good about it, get closer because the conditions for you, Corley, and me not feeling good about the search is different. But because our experience is different, right?
Sure, sure.
Everything can be the same and our PPE is the same. But if you don't feel good as a probie, and then come back to me and like, hey man, he goes, hey dude, this ain't great. And you know what? I've had fires that dudes have done this, and I'm like, hey, fires on the AV corner, dude. We're over here on the Delta, and they have water on the fire. We're gonna be good. Something of the sort. And I've had talk to these guys afterwards, and they go, hey man, that really actually chilled me out. So I took a few seconds to talk to them inside fire. I think that's the best environment we can learn from, and it's better than training. It is training, but with the training with actual real time, is that I do take seconds inside of structures to make sure that we're on the same page. Make sure that they broke a window. Make sure that they ventilated or isolated a door, or they're oriented, or they're down on the ground. So those are the two things we switched. So that's the newest update, and it's we should be starting to work on it again actually next month to get it updated for January.
Right on, right on. And Kyle might have said if you only knew a guy that had a group with a files section. So Engine Company Resurrection might stick that on there, and
I don't
make it
know.
available. Hey, no one does.
All right. Send me a link. Let's download this thing. I love that idea. Then I can just get that
Oh,
done. Pop,
get
pop.
it out there. Yeah, something
Yeah,
off your plate, man.
it's free. Like just and for the especially guys out here that don't know anything about it, uh, download it or scan it or whatever you want to do. Delete Clackamas Fire on that thing and put your name. You don't have to put Clackamas Fire provided or anything. I don't care about that. Because it already has the index on the back where I got my information from. So it's and then edit it as you need for your department.
Yeah.
Um, dude, it's about 65 pages, I believe now. So it's a bear to read sometimes. So, but if you get it in your academies and you get your new guys to read it, and then after 5 years, you guys have hired 30% of your population, then you guys are going to start getting on the same page a little bit earlier.
No, absolutely. And the best, it is one of the best resources. I don't even have the most recent version. I'm talking about the old version, and it's one of the best resources out there in the fire service on the subject of search, without a doubt.
So if you guys need it, get a hold of Kyle Ramagas, Smoothbore Cartel.
Engine Company Resurrection.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. We'll make it
There's
happen.
all these things. I don't know. He has all these subcategory LLCs, whatever he's got going on.
Tim Dickinson, are you good with more questions from the audience?
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
All right. No, I was making sure. I didn't know if you had a specific topic yet, but do you find it's easier to teach a skill to the learners once mindset has been addressed? Do you start with mindset, generally speaking?
Yes, sir.
Always?
Yes, always. Always. So, as in my department, I get the first full week of the academy. It is so important to me to make sure that we get their mindset started and engaged, and that I get to critique what's going on at the very beginning of how they're acting, how they're prepared. I mean, so we had an academy that I just show up, and I used to show up in shorts and a t-shirt, and I switched it up. I wear pants now. I might not tuck in my shirt every time, but I probably should ish. Um, but their gear was all set up, and but it wasn't all the same. And I don't need it exactly the same because it depends on how you throw your gear. But it was one was facing this way, another one's facing this way, I'm like, and I just address it there. And I'm like, hey guys, what's the deal? Are you guys ready for fire? Like, I would have my boots facing away from me, so when I go up there, I'm going to turn them around, and you don't have to get on the other side. Why aren't they all the same? And so things like that, just straight up like little mini mindsets. And my department allows that. They support it. They're good. And then now I went in there in the last academy. Last how many academies, and that's how they are. They're set up, ready for taking off a millisecond. I don't care. A millisecond's a millisecond. So yeah, Tim. Yeah, you know that mindset is drastic. Is that if we cannot talk about mindset, I don't know why we're doing the rest of it, because you don't know the why. You don't know. You might know the how, and you might know the when, but if you don't know the why and you don't understand where I'm coming from, then you're not going to buy off on it. Or some of you might buy off on it just because you want to get in there and do your thing. But I have to capture the 70% of the people in the middle. That is my goal. And so when I go and take over departments, and I go and like teach whole departments, which has been very successful, and that's my goal now, is to teach whole departments. I love going to conferences. It's good for advertisement to get to bring me into their departments. But my goal is to take my time and go to these places. I mean, we have some pretty large departments coming up next year that we're in the talks. I got a meeting with some chiefs tomorrow with like Tulsa Fire. Or Lubbock Fire, not Tulsa yet, but Lubbock, Tulsa as well. But Lubbock Fire, which is a pretty good sized department down there in Texas. And the thing is that they're going to have a couple chiefs involved with the meeting, because one of the things that I want to talk about and address is how important it is. If you're going to spend time and money on me, then make sure you invest in your people by bringing the decision makers to the class. And so when I go to do the whole departments, it's broken down in a bunch of steps and whatnot. But number one is a 4-hour, and it talks about mindset and search. And a lot of it is mindset. And what happens is that the chiefs are there, the battalion chiefs, the ops chiefs, the fire chiefs have sat through many of them. Down in Napa, the ops chief sat through 6 4-hour classes. He was in every single one of them. The fire chief was there for multiple. But what happened is that like they put me on the heavy rescue for the day. They're like, hey, yeah, ride with us, whatever, because they get a call, they need a call. So and I set up my gear and I put my gear on the rig and I open the door and I hang my gear up and they're like, oh, you violated a couple of policies. I'm like, what policies? And they're like, well, we can't have open doors and then we can't have gear hanging up on the outside. I'm like, okay. Where'd that come from? And they're like, it's an old one. Okay. So I talked to the ops chief. I'm like, hey man, like, what's the deal with this? He goes, can we look into it? I told him, I'm like, hey man, you can go up to Clackamas, Oregon. I go, where it rains a lot more than here. I go, our doors have been open for over 20 years. And I'm like, they're not sagging. We start, looking into it. Like, why can you not have the open door? There's a reason. The intent's all good. And he's like, yeah, we can look into it. So what happened, the positivity about having him in class is that when that slide came up, people were all like, oh boy, that ain't happening. And I'm like, actually, I've already talked to your ops chief and your chief, their chief, Zach, is like, we talked about it. It's like, hey man, can we look into this and change it? And they're like, yeah, like we should probably look into that, changing that. And so those are the things that happen. It's not just about search. It's not just about rescue. It's about that mindset of like, let's really look and dive into what we're going to do. And what that has done is got buy off from the line because they see that we can actually make change with the operations chief, the battalion chiefs already in play in there. And then I end the day with masking with gloves on. And guess who masks up with gloves on? The chiefs. They come in there, we work through it. And I get even the crusty old salty dudes that go in there. They're like, oh, watch out for this guy. And then this guy over here or this crew. But the thing is that when we come in there, we're having a discussion, an education, and an honest, like true feedback, not social media crap that's like, meh, just a little blip. And then they're like, they have discussion between like the older guys, the younger guys that want to push this, the battalion chiefs, the ops chiefs. And they're like, yeah, chief, like, why can't we do this? Can we do this? And then they have their discussion. So all I'm doing is I'm a facilitator.
Yeah.
And then when they get down a rabbit hole, I'm like, okay, actually, hey, hold on, I got a video. Like, that's actually not how this works. Like, let's look through this through. Like let's work through this fire that you guys are talking about. That's actually not how this works. This is how it kind of works with the communication and making sure you guys have accountability or what's happening of like their theories, because obviously a lot of these departments don't search through windows like we do. And so it's all off of what they've learned. And now they're opening up to the outside and they're giving me a chance to bring the 70% in the middle a little forward and a little up. And I don't write off the people at the bottom. That's all dumb. I think it's dumb to write people off unless they're in my department that I really know them. But we have a good track record with our department. But like bring them up a little bit in the middle, and like it's not what we want. So there's that saying, like water boils from the bottom up. True. Like I want motivated firefighters. I want to keep on pushing things through the fire service and coming to classes and trying to bring it to their department. But the thing is that how many times do firefighters or the captains or lieutenants or drivers that come to my classes that are like hands-on physical or the brothers in battle classes, how many times do they get to sit down with the chiefs? All of them. And the thing is, when they have questions, they don't have the experience to back it up. So like they can't explain it. And it's not a huge discussion between the department. So when I go into these classes, the first thing I usually say is, well, besides I do a little bio, just give a little background. I'm like, we have like dry houses and stuff, but that's about it. And so that's where my experience comes from. And so we're a little bit different, but also is that this is your department. I'm going to change your department when I leave. Something's going to change. I want you to get involved. Speak up, speak out, and speak loud.
Love it, man. And would you say the most of the value? Oh, sorry, go ahead. Most of the value in those, do you think it comes from them discussing it with each other once you facilitate?
Yeah, a lot of it does. I think a lot of it does because they're actually all in a room together and they're together. But where the value comes in from me being in there or is that they don't search like I do already or my department. They don't search through windows a lot of places like we do. And so the value of that comes into like the what ifs. And so when they throw out the what ifs and the fear and all this other stuff, it's like, oh, actually, here's some data on that, chief, because like the chief might want a lot of data, and I'm like, oh, I got all the data right here. But then the battalion chiefs want the thought process and the operations, the accountability. So I'm like, oh, well, this is how this works. And then the firefighters are like, well, this is what we want to do. I'm like, well, I am a fireman, so this is how we operate, and so this is how we actually perform the task. So I'm part of all those worlds.
Yeah, right, right.
And that's how, and so yeah, a lot of it has to do with them, but you have to have a lot of outside influence when you're trying to make a drastic change. So like, there's that saying that is you can't be a spirit in your own world. I don't even know what it is. What's that?
Profit in your own land. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that thing, right? I don't
Yeah.
believe that. I think that if you can't be a prophet in your own land, one, you need to look within yourself. Um, and then once you look within yourself and your own ego, maybe you're not respected like they believe. Maybe you're really young and you don't have the experience to back it up. Maybe you're not talking correctly. Maybe you're not talking to the right people. Maybe you don't have the right team. Whatever it is, but with I think you can be a prophet in your own land to a point. Where you can't be a prophet in your own land is searching through windows to your own department or topside vent within your department if you don't do it and your department doesn't do it. Because how are you going to talk them into it when you're like, you have no experience on it? Like, I'm not listening to those people. Like, it's all theory and emotion by then. And it's like, oh, some jackass from Oregon said this, and they're like, oh, is that Plaid guy? Like, oh, dude, Plaid is clad. Like he don't go to fires. You know what does he know? So
I love it. Man, I'm trying to figure out which one I want to ask you. I love this one right here. Rachel Delacour says, how do you train your firefighters to communicate with you during a search? Aside from victim, how do they effectively communicate? What spaces have been searched, conditions, etc.? What's your philosophy on communication during search?
Okay, so communication during search within a crew. So my crew is 4. So let's just talk about that. 4. We already know our assignment. We already know that the back seat is the inside team. They're going for fire. The outside team is my officer, or my driver, and I, and we're going for life. So we don't have to talk about that. All we have to worry about is I get on the air, 30 seconds out. Yep, 5's arrived. Yep, you guys are search. All right, we're all on for search. We get out the rig. We go up top. If something changes, that's the communication piece. As in, when my crew swaps partners a lot. I don't know why, it just happens. Depends on who's like masked up right away and who's doing what. And so like it's like, hey, I'm taking Feynman. I'm taking Feynman. Okay. And so now my senior man, he goes, all right. And he knows he has Livero, and they're going to go inside the front door. And it's the same objective though. I already know that they're going for fire. They already know we're going to go for life. But how we communicate where we're going to go is that most of the time, I know that they're going to go to 4-1. They're going to force the front door if the fire attack hasn't forced the front door yet. They're going to go through the front door if the engine company's not on scene, because they need to force the front door so the engine can stretch a line. They're going to locate the fire and stuff like that. So that's all the information I get from them. What they get from me is that when I get off the rig, I'm quick and light. I take my irons. I do 2 to 3 sides. I look at the windows that I want to enter, and then we have a ladder thrown. And then if a ladder's thrown, by the time that they get up there, they know what side we're going to enter on. And if we don't tell them. Like, we're like, dude, I might tell them. I'm like, hey, man, we're going Bravo side. Well, I don't have to tell them floor 1 or floor 2 if it's a 2-story, because they know we're going up. If it's a 1-story, I don't need to tell them floor 2 because there was only 1 story. So the communication on the outside is very minimal. Once we get on the inside, if I was the inside team, location of fire is good. And then you got to get on the air and be like, hey, man, we got a fire in the kitchen. And I like to say that, like, hey, because that way all of our people should be sizing this building up and go, where is the kitchen? Because just because you said like Alpha Bravo corner, like it doesn't always mean anything. All right, it doesn't always mean something. All right, we got it in the kitchen. This is where it's at. Okay, Alpha Bravo, that's where the fire. It's not confinable, or it's we can find it. And then they start searching out and searching their areas. When they locate stairs, they would say something. When they locate a victim, they'd say something. They locate a hole in the floor, they would say something. And then for me, when we go upstairs for search, we're going through a window 99.9999910% of the time. And so every once in a while, we might go through like find a set of stairs in the backside and go in a door. But when we go through that, the first person in the window already knows they're going to the threshold They go to the hallway. If there's fire, well, they just isolate. And they're like, hey, dude, fire in the hallway. Okay, that means we got to listen to the radio. We listen to, well, we search that room. And if we search that room and they're like, hey, water on the fire, then we check the door again. If they don't have water on the fire, we go out the window, we find another window, and we go in again. Other than that, they go in there, the first one in. Now, I have a senior crew, so it's different. So we'll talk about that in a minute. First one in goes to the threshold, it's searchable. All I want to hear is I'm going right, I'm going left. That's all I care about, and isolate the door. That way, when I'm done searching my room, I go out, and if they've already gone right, I look at the conditions, and I'm like, I don't like them. I go right if they're gone right. If I think they're great, then I go left. And we split the floor, because that floor only comes around. It goes room, 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 and then we're going to meet up in the middle somewhere. Now, if we go to a double set of doors upstairs, then it'd be like, hey, man, like if they're like shittier conditions, low to zero viz, we're going to be like, hey, I got a double set of doors. All right, you go right. And then we'll split search that room, because I don't want to go more than typically 3 thresholds on low to zero viz, because those 3 thresholds would be like the bedroom door, the master bathroom, and then like a closet, water closet, stuff like that. Once you go beyond those, what the hell are you getting into? Like there's something that's weird. And so that's our set. And then we don't work past that in low to zero visibility. So that's why a lot of those like double swinging doors or large rooms, we'll just split the room. And we're not searching on top of each other anyway. So we're not wasting time. We're not saving any time. We're doing the exact amount of same amount of work, but yet we're able to search that area and work down the hallway together more often.
Well, very minimal. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. What do you got?
I was summarizing. Very minimalistic communication until specific minimal benchmarks,
Absolutely.
or something out of the ordinary.
Absolutely. Yes. Out of the ordinary, dangerous, something of the sort. If
And you
if
think
I
you're
hear
able,
water on the fire, I'll say water on the fire. If we fire location, we'll let them know. Stuff like that. We're a victim, obviously. We're going to let them know.
now how do I phrase this? My personal question, is that just from your familiarity with your crew and how much you've worked together on that stuff, or is this something that you teach?
This
Even
is what we
go ahead.
teach.
Okay.
That's normal operations for our department. Because now let's say I got a new guy with me, right? Now
Okay.
I got a couple new guys in the back seat riding the heavy this day. We're splitting front back. I'm taking one and my driver's taking one, or however that looks. So when I go up there, we go through that window. If I was going to bring this to a department that doesn't want to just have the first person dive in, then send the officer first. So if you're going to have window searches, and hopefully you're not leaving somebody on outside to paint the house or whatever you're doing, I personally would sell it by sending the officer first. And not that they're always the senior person, but this is how you're going to sell it. They go through the window, because when they throw the ladder or where they come up to the window, let's say off a ladder, they can visualize the window and make a decision if they're going to break it or they're not going to break it. Because they're like, what are the conditions? Maybe they're like, oh, water on the fire? Yeah, we're going to break it. But now there's no water on the fire. They get to make that decision. Why would you send the junior guy up to make that decision? And somebody like, oh, you could do it from down below or shine a flashlight. I'm like, no, you can't. Nah, dude. Like, that's not how this works, unless you have water on the fire. And I'm like, well, you're not going to be behind them. You're going to be at least 6 feet under them. So I can't get a good visual on that. So I'd go up to the window. I would do it. Break the window. You enter. You've already been in the room that they're in. Go to the hallway. And guess what? The officer usually has the tick. So the officer can size up and use their tick. I don't use it. We don't usually use it that much. But this is how I'd sell it. And this is how a lot of departments work. Send the officer with the tick to the threshold. Isolate the door. The junior firefighter comes in the window, searches that room, and when their officer is when they're done with searching that room, they come to the hallway, and then the officer guides the search just like they would from the interior.
No, I mean, yeah, I follow your page, so I've seen this discussion going around and around and around.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
But the problem is like we have to have that discussion. It's like we have to talk about it, and it's like, well, how much are you going to type until people quit listening or reading and stuff? And so like that's where the discussions really happen really good. Like when we go to whatever, Denver, St. Louis and stuff like that, is that we sit down and usually we have cocktails and we're like, hey man, okay, I got a 2-person crew. I got a 3-person crew. How do we talk about this? How do we sell this? It's like, all right, let's work through this problem.
I love it, man. All right. Man, so many questions, brothers. No, go ahead.
So to finish up with our question 2 is that when we meet up, downstairs or upstairs, whoever it is, they go up or they go down. And then when we run into each other, then we with the other crew, the other part of the crew, we run into each other and we're like, oh, we're good. All right, primary's complete. Perfect. We don't get on the radio and go primary complete floor 1, primary complete floor 2. It's the structure. We own the structure. Unless it's like a big like a multi-story public hallway, that's a whole different beast when we're
Sure.
switching those.
Sure. Or McMansion maybe, or something
Yeah,
out of
McMansion's
again,
close.
out of the ordinary. Out of the
Yeah.
ordinary. All right. So many questions. Kobe D wants to know, Justin, could you speak to the importance of truck companies drilling with engine companies?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I don't know much about those truck companies, but yeah, I believe that we have to be on the same page. And a lot of our failures, I believe, on the fire ground is when you have a company outperforming another. As in, if you have a truck company that's a motivated crew that is throwing ladders, getting on roofs, they're not disciplined, so they cut a hole early, or they're sitting up there with their thumb in their butt and waiting and waiting and waiting to cut a hole because they can't stretch, we have issues. Vice versa, you have an engine company that kicks ass and they're stretching every day, they're masking up, and they're trying to make a push in a single family dwelling. They can't make the push because they need to get that topside vented. Uh, and the truck company hasn't thrown a ladder in a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever they got going on, and then they finally make it up there. We have an issue. So what happens when we train together is that I want to know your job, and I want you to know my job. And then I also want to know your pace, and I want you to know our pace. Because when we start beating you in there, it should hurt your ego. And when it hurts your ego, you're going to speed up. But you can't just speed up. You have to train to speed up. You have to have that knowledge and that education and those reps. And then that way, when we work together, we can train on our timing and our communication. As in, we had a public hallway. We had a public hallway training the other day, 3-story, and when we were done with it, we were just talking about like, what's a can man? What if we're met with fire in the hallway? What if we're met with fire coming out of a door? What if just smoke coming out of a door in a public hallway? How long are you going to let it breathe and lift? What are you going to do? And so, and then like talking about searching ahead of the line, or like if we arrive before an engine company or with or after an engine company, when are we going to help them stretch a line versus when are we going to go locate fire? And so I just wrote out a piece of like, hey guys, and I sent it to our truck companies, our squad, and the rest of our heavy rescue. I was like, hey, this is the layout. These are all the expectations before an engine company and after an engine company. What are your thoughts? And I'm like, hey, when we're done with this, let's make sure this is right. And so that I'm going to send it to our BCs, so our BCs know what we're doing. So when they assign a search or we're already on scene, they understand how our flow of our search and how we're going to split. And so that A, we're going to have less communication, but B, they want to know where we're at. They want to know what we're going to do. They want to know when we're going to help stretch the line and when we're going to go locate fire and when we're going to go to the floor above. So if they look at this progress, this makes us all better. And so when we train together like that, that's what we need. And it's not just truck and engine there. It's all of us. It's if you have the BC, your BC should be involved in monthly drills. If they're not showing up, we have a command staff issue. They need to show up because they're the ones running the calls. And usually, like a lot of the complaints come from, well, you didn't say this on the radio, or I didn't expect this out of you. And it's like, well, I don't know what to tell you. We drill together all the time. So if you show up, bring your expectations, and then we can actually run through these situations, and we're not going to have these problems anymore.
Beautiful, beautiful, man. Brother, I could do this all night.
Hold on a second. It's 1,900 hours.
Okay. Rally time. I got the rally cap.
So, remember we were talking about. So, I told you I'd do something last time for the next time, but when we start talking about salty people, oh, dude, that guy's salty, and like I don't understand what that means personally. I mean, I think some people think it's a positive thing, some people think it's a negative thing. But then all of a sudden we start talking about firefighters across the nation, and it's like, oh man, like we'll just take myself, right? Oh, McWilliams, dude. That guy's a fireman, dude. He's a searcher. It's like, how would you know? Like, you don't know that unless you work for my department. Unless you fought fire with me, we don't know. I put out a post during our 2020 fires. So we had our 2020 fires. We had, I don't know, massive wildland fires. We had structure fire after structure fire after structure fire. And I had a brand new helmet, and it was the second, might have been the fourth fire of that morning. I can't remember. Might have been the fourth fire that morning. And my helmet, I had a picture of my helmet that was in the front dash. And I just had this fire in front of me as we were rolling up. And I'm like, hey, what do you expect out of your officer when you go to search? And one of the comments was, I wouldn't follow that officer anywhere. And I'm only guessing because I ain't gonna follow up and engage in that stuff, but it had to do with, like, because that helmet was fairly clean. And it's like, well, the thing is that a dirty helmet doesn't mean shit to me. A mustache doesn't mean shit to me. Just because you have this grueling mustache, or you've been to a lot of fires, and like you think you're salty, is like, that doesn't mean much. And that's why I don't like the bios, Corley, is that, like, it doesn't matter how long I've been on the job. It doesn't matter that I work on the rig that I do. It doesn't matter any of that. None of that matters. All that matters is, like, how I communicate with you. And, like, if I can reach the people that are watching today, that's what matters. And if they can take something back and they understand what I'm saying and not misinterpret it, that's what we're good. So,
I did not think you were for serious.
Well, I'm serious, bro.
I'm not sure I don't even know what I'm thinking right now. Who is this person?
Mm-hmm. That mustache didn't make me salty. It was just a mustache. Not a big deal. All right,
Commissioner,
next.
Where'd he go? Whoa. No, I was not expecting that. He warned us he had a surprise. There is no doubt, brother. Okay. I don't know if I can believe anything you say now.
You shouldn't. You should always put them in the right way, bro.
Oh, I love it. Dude, I was not expecting that. You kind of got me speechless for a minute here. Yeah, James said, I'm shaving mine in solidarity, brother. Ramaga said, holy shnikey. I don't know if anybody can ever top that.
Oh, it's toppable for sure.
And Everett said, he's a handsome fella. I'm just giving you the reaction right here as the delay catches up. Can't take him.
Younger. That's what all matters. Do I look younger? My wife and my kids are gonna go crazy.
Holy! I can't believe you just did that live. That's Osterhaus really summed it up when he said, "I'm shook." I was like, "Yeah, that's where I'm at."
But that's the thing, is like, the mustache didn't make me any better or worse firefighter. It doesn't make me a better or worse instructor. It doesn't do anything for me. It's more of like, when we visualize someone's helmet, when we visualize someone's gear, if we talk about how many years you have on, if you talk about like how many jobs we had, are you into the job or are you not? I've learned a lot from, like we were talking about right before this podcast, dude. I got a probie that, no, I don't have a probie. There's a probie that he's a lateral, been to a lot of classes, and he's been to fires where he used to work. Is that he changed my mind over a morning discussion on just change out. And this just happened a couple months ago about some fire attack for an engine company on a garage fire. And so, dude, we're always learning. We're always growing. There was a comment I put out about that new acronym people are trying to use, which I don't appreciate, because of I don't think it's gonna be good for the fire service. But then someone put a comment like, okay, I can't these guys don't go to jobs. These guys are idiots, pretty much, whatever it was. And I'm like, hey man. So I got a hold of I friended him, and then he friended me, and then we followed each other. And I'm like, hey, dude, give me a call. And he goes, we started going back and forth with just only like 2. And he goes, hey man, I'm having dinner with my family in about call me in an hour. Call that guy in an hour. This guy, he's a ghetto fireman. This guy's I know where he works, and they're busy. They're really busy. And it's a good company that he works for within that busy area. And dude, we got on the same page within like a minute, and then we talked for, I don't know, 30 minutes. But then we started going off on other paths. But like,
right.
That's the thing, is like, it's like he misunderstood some of it, but then we got on other paths, and then we were talking about we are on the same page, and it's like he didn't give a shit. He goes, "Where are you from? Where are you from, anyways?" And I'm like, "I'm from Oregon, the West Coast." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, we don't." He goes, there's a lot of things you guys do that we don't do. Like we don't go on peak roofs to vent roofs. Like that's not something we do. But I wish we had the option to at times. But like that's the thing is you're talking about somebody from a place that is like the Holy Grail, but that we're talking about things that I do over in Clackamas that they're like, yeah, we wish we could do that. So it's good stuff, man. It's humbling, and like to be humbled is good, and to show that ego is even better.
That's
Like,
awesome. I will
different.
say this, as far as commitment to making a point, that was commitment to making a point that the mustache and the gear, the salty gear, doesn't matter. Absolute commitment to the point.
Buddy,
Um,
now you know why I don't get eat like the bios. Like that's the thing. It's like the bio thing is very hard for me to do. Very hard.
I get it. I get it 100%. Now, I do want the audience to understand if they don't know you,
Yeah,
what they're getting into, what they're committing their evening for. So I do want to give them something so they're just not,
I hear you.
I owe them that.
I'll be better maybe.
No. Again,
I'm kidding. I'm not
so,
bad.
okay, where am I at? Because I got some good ones. Matthew Savage wants to know, what is your go-to method to move a larger victim from a lower level basement up a tight stairwell?
Well, I have never moved a ginormous person up a stairwell in fire. Never done it. So I cannot talk to you from experience, but I will tell you from talking to those that have, and from what they usually are protect in place. When you start talking about stuff like that, like if you can protect in place, number one, like if you can't fit them through a threshold, you need to isolate, bring them air, bring a line down there, ventilate the area, protect them, and then move them out. Now, if you're in a cardiac arrest and stuff like that, or you got to get them out, it's different. Is that for me? We use a half bud. So everybody on my rig, part of the PLL, is we have a Shamu tarp or a whale tarp or a buds or what do you guys want to call them for EMS calls? The problem is they're too damn big. They're like, what are they, 8x5 or something? I don't even know how wide they are, but they have handles, and they work for all of our patients. And so what we did is we cut them in half, and then the part we cut in half was we roll up so that gives it rigidity, and then we sew them. And I learned how to sew in the fire service when I was a probie lieutenant from my driver, and I got two what do you call those sewing machines.
Okay.
I've currently lost them. I don't know how, but they're high demand. Um, but we sew that up, and then we take off the other half. We take one of the handles, and then we put it on the other side, so you can go top or bottom, and then that would be the crotch. And so that we could put them on this piece, and it's smaller, and it's going to take some time to put them on it. But when you have these large patients or victims, you put them on there, and then now we have handles. We have a tight hallway. You have a tight stairwell now, right? Okay. Well, tight stairwell, you can't get anybody on the sides.
Right.
Well, you still have a top pole and a bottom pole, and if you need to, then you could improvise from there. Now, if you're talking about long term, and you're talking about like you have a little bit of time or whatnot, or you got your shit together and you got one of those fast boards. I've never used one of those fast boards, the little halfies or whatever else. Well, why they're not for just the firefighters? Why wouldn't you give them? Why are we not like I'm not into bringing air to victims to pull them out. That's not a thing for me until like a plan 12Z. That's
Right.
fine. But it should be in our playbook of like, hey, dude, we're not moving them, so we need to protect them.
Right.
With the fast board, that's not going to be plan A, B, C, D, 12. But what is best for that victim? Okay, then if you have time for that, like either put them on one of those, and if you have time to do that, maybe put them on air and then pull them up, and then put them on a little system.
Kyle Tone coming at you. How do you structure your search/rescue portion of the Cadet Academy? Also, how do you start to reinforce search concepts for newer firefighters or probaries, particularly ones assigned to engines?
Okay, so the first part was how do we structure it?
Yep.
How we structure is it's the mindset first. What's interesting is that our department just started hiring civilians not too long ago. And so we're actually we usually get laterals
Oh,
and
okay,
people
okay.
that I mean mostly laterals and volunteers at least. So someone that has
Some
some
experience.
background. And so we're not starting from the base usually. But what we're finding out now is that, and this is very lately, is that we need to change something up. And so where we take the full first week of the academy, and so now I want to be in negotiations to try to take later on in the academy because it's too early for them to understand search and to understand like the structure and the layout. So what I'd like to do is still do mindset in the very beginning, but then I need a couple hours with them so I can talk to them about sizing up the structure, not for search, but just for being oriented and be able to place lines. I'm going to sell it as in like, this is for ventilation. This is for placing lines. This is for search. This is for RIT. And so that we go through and they understand the building more. And then once we go from there in the mindset and the layout, we go into rescue, which we do drags first. We do plan A is going to be a system out. Plan B would be to do whatever, feet first, then head first, a couple different ways, and then go down the path of like that half buds handle and other routes of to pull them out, and then down ladders, up and out of windows, how to get them up and out of windows, so all the rescue stuff, window conversions, and then you go into searching through windows first. So then we start the search section, which would be searching through windows first because I mean, obviously we go through and we sit out there like, okay, these tools are for this, these tools are for this. We try to get rid of as many tools as we can while we search until we only have a Halligan. Like, you know, whatever, the can man has this, the irons have this. So like we try to like, this is what they're for. This is when we get rid of them. This is where we place them. And then when we get in there, we teach them how to search beds, piles of clothes, pieces of furniture. Then you take them and then you just have them go through first floor and second floor windows, and then you have them just search the windows or through those one rooms together. So one goes to the hallway, they just stand there, and then we have a conversation. Hey man, if we have fire here, you wouldn't do this, you're gonna do this. If you have this, you're gonna do this. And then the inside guy, it's high vis. They walk around, they still sift through the pile of clothes. They still get on top of the bed because it's not perfectly made. They look underneath the bed, and they go to the hallway where their partner is, and then they walk out. And then we give a little bit of smoke, a little bit more smoke. So it's one room, and then it's one floor on a 2-story. So it's just bedroom, bedroom, bedroom. And then we go, and then we start going. Okay, you go to the front door, and then same with light smoke, no smoke, whatnot. And you let them. Don't pretend conditions, whatever they are. And then we start letting them do like 2 in the window, 2 in the door, and they work together. Then we go to a few days at an acquired structure that's, I don't know, 3,000 square feet, one floor with a daylight basement, a walkout basement. And then we bring down truck companies and engine companies and heavy rescue, and you search with one, I search with one, and we do teams of 2, 3, and 4. And then we have 4, we split them. But there's always going to be a senior or a on the line firefighter with them. So they understand pace, they understand communication, they understand the coordination, they understand how to flow. This year, we have a couple of acquired structures, and we're going to do can confidence with our guys. The problem is that when people find out on the line that we're going to do can confidence with the probies and not with the guys on the line, they're probably not going to like it. So,
Which takes me.
It's a good problem to have.
Right. Awesome problem, man. Great first world problem. James Michelisco coming at you said, Justin, because you just mentioned it, does your crew search with a can? Is it sometimes, always, never? What's your search with a can philosophy?
So we have 4. So we split, right? So you have the inside team, they're the can. The only time that we both take cans is that we have like multiple apartments going. And so we'll both take cans and we're both searching for fire, and we're both trying to like get inside of different apartments and whatnot and try to search all searchable space. But our normal routine is going to be one occupancy in a multifamily or a single family most of the time. That the inside team takes one if there's not a line on the fire. If they're stretching line, they still take the can. If the guys are already stretched and they found the fire, then they drop the can wherever they hear that they have line stretch and whatnot. But if they're ahead of the line, they bring the can with them. So when they bring the can with them, they locate fire. You have decisions to make. One, you're either going to hold back fire so that your partner can search beyond. Like, hey, dude, I got you. Like, but you have to make sure that we understand what the fuck we're talking about when we're talking about this. It's like, this isn't for like the inexperience or like the whole social media wizard shit. It's like, we have a kitchen fire. I want you to move beyond us, search those rooms, and come back. And they have to know I have 50 seconds of water, 2.5 gallons, what that's going to be. We're going to have good communication. They're going to search beyond. They're going to get their ass back while they're stretching the line. So you're either going to hold it back, you're going to spray it back to confine it, you're going to confine it, spray down the door to cool it down a little bit, or you're going to leave it. And it's like, oh, no, we're not going to do shit with this. We're going to leave the can and we're going to move on. I think those are the things how we use it. There's probably something else, but I can't remember what it is.
No, great answer. Great question, James. I like this one coming here down recently. Jeff Bryant Jr. said, question for the wild card. As the boss of Heavy 5, are you seeking out the members of your crew or can they just bid in?
Dude, don't call me a boss or a cap. The guys at work will bust my balls. They don't. If I say jobs, they're like, oh, we're going to job town. Or if they say boss, oh, Justin's the boss. Or cap. So anyway, wild card's fine. So my department, how we've been in, is actually my current fire chief. We've talked about this for years, and everybody complained about it until they got up top, and then they never made anything different about it. But when the current fire chief became the ops chief, they signed papers with the union that we have 4 sets of like years in, certs, some other shit, and then fit in with the job. So pretty much how it works for my department is that if there's an opening coming up, I send an email out to the world. If you're interested, put in for it. They put in for it. When they put in for it, I go through all those emails, and I'm like, I either call them up or send them down, and I'm like, hey, dude, you guys are the fuck no nevers. Like, not nevers. You guys are the ain't happening for 10 years. But most of those guys understand right away. So I cut out most of the list because the young guys want to come to that rig. They want to fight fire. We go to every fire in the district besides barn fires and shot fires and wildland fires. And so they understand. They're like, no, I just want you to know I want to come there 5, 10, 15 years, whatever it is. Then I break it down and we're looking at it. And then I weed out a few and then I bring it to my house. And then my house goes in, and then they're like, they go through the list, and if there's like somebody they really don't want to work for, like seriously don't want to work for it, then you have to give me a reason because I will tell that person why. I won't tell them who it came from. It came from me, but they have to know why. Like, hey, dude, nope, this ain't gonna happen. Blah blah blah. And then we bring it down to about 3 to 4, and then I give it to the shift, and then the shift ranks them individually. I don't want them to rank them as a crew. Because I want to hear their personal opinion. Because if we're replacing the driver, I don't want the officer to have more influence than a firefighter over on top of each other. But they also can talk. I don't care. I just want them to give me what they actually want. Like, I want them to tell me the truth. And then from there, I make the final decision. And then I send it to ops, and then they're like, yep. And then we have to tell their captain and have their captain in the loop. And they're like, hey, dude, we're taking this guy on this date. You need to find a replacement. Sign off on it. They sign off on it, and then there we go.
Love it. Since we're on the crew, Dirk Janiak is asking, how important is physical fitness for you and your crew? Is there any specific workouts that you do?
Yeah. So if you listen to Fit to Fight Fire, one of the original ones that came out that I did is that I move weight from one side of the room to the other when I'm picking it up, and then I try to drink 2-to-1 water versus coffee. That's not the truth anymore. I'm a little bit older. And so, for physical fitness for my crew is that my crew runs our house. Like my house runs the house. I don't run the house. I just make the final decisions every once in a while. I'm just there, right? I do paperwork and order shit or whatever. I don't order it. I just say yes or no. But it's very like the crew fitness comes with the house. If you're not fit, you ain't coming to the house anyways. So when you come there, like my job is to make time for them to be able to work out every shift. And our shift prioritizes it every morning. And so we're the second business company in our district, which I'm not saying there's a ton. I think we run, I don't even know, Let's say we run 3,000 ish a year, maybe whatnot. But we show up and I'm like, hey man, what do you guys want to do today? And I'm like, this is what I have to get done today. What do you guys want? And then we fit it in and we're like, yep, workout's always in the morning for us. If we can get it in, if we run a bunch of calls or we got training, then we do it in the afternoon, we do together. Our crew works out together. It's very important. They push me, and we push them. Like we have guys that don't want to do leg day, and we work them into leg day over some years. And then some guys that don't want to do a bunch of cardio, but like we work out together and we motivate each other. And so right now we're on this, one of the firefighters, he's on the Murph every day. And so I'm picking that up. Now I might not do the Murph at the same time they are. Like I do it with them, but I just get it done. Like I might just do like so many, and then I do my laps, couple laps, and then I do so many, pull-ups and everything else. But like, it's very important because 99% of the time during the day, our company's together. If we're awake, we are together washing the rig. We are cleaning the bathrooms. I don't clean the bathrooms as much as I should probably, but when we're cooking, we cook together. We shop together. We cook together. One guy comes up with the idea, possibly, we might come together, but like everybody's a sous chef. If they hear the dishes rattle, we're getting up and we're not gonna ignore that noise. We're gonna do the dishes. If you're taking a nap and you hear something, a motor start up outside, you're getting your ass out of the bed, and which is usually me. I gotta get my ass out of the bed because I'm trying to take a nap. And I go down and I'm part of that. I'm part of the work crew. Like I'm not going to be sitting in there ignoring it. Like it's easy. Oh, I slept through it. Like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, you did. But I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, I don't care about excuses. I just want results. So the workout is priority with our crew. That is number one. We will move almost anything around to make sure we get a workout in.
Love that. I love that answer, and especially the part where it's all together and pushing each other and holding each other accountable. Man, that's beautiful. Thank you for the great question, Dirk. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, they're good. They're just good for me, man. They're good for me.
I get it. I get it.
That's beautiful.
Stephen, he answered some questions early on in the scrap. I think it might have been before you got here about the airway and the height and et cetera when he's taking the person out of the structure.
Let's continue on with that. Let's talk about that.
There. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so if you're going to read IFSTA or maybe you know the department's manual, and you guys are going to go to search, and there's a line in play. Let's say there's a line that's stretched, flowing water on the fire, 2-story house. You show up second due on a. Let's just give it to the medic guys. You know what? The medic guys need a break. We assign them search. What is IFSTA? What is Delmar? What is the NFPA or whoever? I don't even know. What do they all say? Where do you go to search? Where do you search from?
Go close to the fire room, start searching backwards?
Absolutely. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. And we'll find out after this probably UL study-ish. But if you have a line on the fire and you have another company that can't split, so there's only 2 or 3, and they're going to start a search, why are we going to the fire where fire attack already is? The reason they want to go to the fire first, and we're talking about 2-story, just talking about 2-story house. They go to a fire first. Isn't fire attack going to cover the direct fire assault area?
I mean, in my mind, yes.
Like they should. That should be like they're right. Going to, because even if the victim is it's in the room I'm in, but if they're only a few feet away, but they're down around the corner, around a wall, they're not direct fire assault anymore. If they're behind a couch, they're not direct fire assault anymore, are they?
Right.
Okay. So can we change that mindset of like, okay, once somebody, the first due company typically, if it's a medic unit, they're searching for fire. If it's an engine company, a truck, they're searching for fire. If the engine company, they're searching for fire and they're putting the fire out, they've already covered that direct fire assault. Then you assign search, 2-story house. Where's the smoke going? Is it going up, down, or lateral?
We're going up. It's going up as soon as it can.
Okay, it's going up first, right? Where's the shittiest smoke? Is it up or is it down?
Yeah, it's going up.
Okay, it's going up.
I'm looking for the trick question, so that's why I'm.
There's no trick question.
Right. I'm with you.
My thing is that why the hell are we continuing to say search from the fire back when fire's been located, and we've already directly covered the fire assault area. Why are we not sending the search crew to the upstairs second story of a single family dwelling where 44% of our victims are, and they've been in the smoke longer? Because if it goes up, how much longer have they been in the smoke? And they're in the shittier smoke because the heat goes up. So it's hot, the heat, smoke, the toxicity is up there. They're longer. So why would we not start there? If we're talking about a difference between a breathing victim at 1 foot versus 3 foot, a 2 foot difference, why are we talking about a victim on floor 1 on the floor, not direct fire assault, versus a person on floor 2 on the top bunk of a bed, 16 feet higher than the victim on floor 1?
And do you think it's just a holdover from legacy fuels and the lack of pressures from those fuels, and proximity was more important than the actual direction of the smoke travel? I know I'm trying to articulate it, but is it a holdover from just the old research?
Corley, I can't even find the history of VES. I wouldn't know that.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I'm looking up like, where did
I just say that makes sense to me that it's a holdover to proximity being the primary driving factor.
I get it. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. I don't even want to. To me, it's less important to speculate why
Yeah. Okay.
why
Fair.
we're holding over versus I would like to start pushing. Like, let's think about what we're doing. Now, I could be wrong. Like that's what I'm saying. Like Margaret right here, I could be wrong. But if it's my child, if it's my house, stretch a line. They're going to cover that area. You're going upstairs, and you're going to go get my kids.
I love it. I do. Thank you. Thanks for digging in. Where we at? Let me see what other topics you wanted to get. Searching ahead of the line, searching before hose has been controlled. We got so much you have. The impact of having the decision makers involved in your training. We talked about that, water boiling from the bottom.
Let's talk about helmet cams, editing,
Yep.
posting, and commenting. All right, so I made a post not too long ago. Is like, I don't want people to compare themselves to people's helmet cams that are out there. I want people to be comfortable. Is that if obviously you guys, if you follow the Search Culture page over the years, not just one glip at a time, is that you'll realize that like what I try to monitor as much as I can is like shut down the negative naysayers that are out there and like, oh, that's stupid. And it's like, but they give no context. It's like, so when you guys put out a helmet cam and you say, holy crap, that went well, but yet it's edited out. Like, what are you comparing yourself to? I saw this one in Europe, right? They're trying to compare European firefighting to American firefighting or something of the sort. But I'm like, it's edited. Like, because they're hitting it from the outside and then they're doing their high pressure, which whatever. I don't know anything about that shit. But it's more about like it's edited. I can't tell you. I have no opinion on this whatsoever because I do not know how long you were spraying water or what was going on and how long it took you to get inside. So I encourage people, if your department allows you to have helmet cam, one, always do it 100% of the time. Take it back, put it in your computer, and watch it yourself at least. And then you're going to be humbled, and you're going to realize a lot of the things that you do that are dumb, and you're going to fix those. Good, we're improving. And then you're going to realize that you're not as good as you were. And then you're going to realize that the fire wasn't as bad as you thought it was, and you need to take a breath. You're going to realize that, like, oh, like I saw it was a second story, but yet when I went inside, I thought it was a one story. I had to come back outside, or I finally found the stairs. Like, why did I do that? Why was I like running on the fire ground? I run, I trot, I do my thing. But if it's stopping you from looking up, no, slow down for a second, look at it, and move on. And so do that. And then once you get past your ego, show it to your crew. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about like what I should have done, what I shouldn't have done, what we think could have happened or not, whatnot. And then if your department allows you, when you send out videos to the world, you can cut them down. I don't want to watch bullshit 20 minutes of shit. I don't need to watch your first whatever screwing around in the cab. But what I do want to watch is I want to watch your mask up. I want to watch your stretch. I want to see what you saw. I want to know how long it took you to put on your damn gloves. And then if I comment, why don't you put gloves on in the rig? That could cut down your time by 5, 6, 8 seconds. You don't have to take it as a negative comment. It's not negative. It's just fact. Is that come in there and like take it as a human, as a, you're like, hey, because when we comment on the Facebook, we always, or anything in life right now is negative, 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 negative. You can put out anything. You can put out who you want to vote for the election, and then everybody thinks it's negative, and it's like, why is it negative? I don't understand. I'm like, it's not negative at all. I don't care. Like you vote for you, but it's like, why is it negative that you're supporting who you support? And so when we go there, put it out there and get better. And then when you might realize that someone out there from Podunk, Wyoming, has a better way of doing something for you, and then all of a sudden you improve, and then you take off seconds, and then now you make a grab the next shift because you took off those seconds and someone's alive. That's way more important than our ego. It's going to be okay. I've thrown ladders upside down. I have, dude, I've taken out windows. I will tell you, we were at an apartment fire. We go in the front door. Guy comes out. We go in. It's moderate fizz. I look at my firefighter. It's a okay fire, not that big a deal. And I thought he pointed out the window like break it. So I didn't question. I was like, okay. And I'm like, so he bent down. I don't know what he's doing. I think he was smoldering the fire or something. And so I reached on the top of my Halligan and broke the window. And then he comes up, and then I'm venting it, whatever. And I thought it was kind of weird that he said that he was like wanted that window broken out, but whatever. It was moderate biz. But then we talk about it later. Then we show the video and goes, oh yeah, he goes, no, that's not what I was doing. He goes, I was wondering what you were doing. But then we had a conversation. And guess what? We got better. It's okay. That was an embarrassing moment for me. So they have that saying of like, you know, don't worry about what the haters say or whoever. Like whoever says if you wouldn't want to go to them for advice. And that's the thing. It's like, don't worry about that. Go there for the good comments. I posted something the other day from a department from Winsville, and there's some negative comments, which is fine. And I understand some of them make negative comments, but I got a hold of them on the backside. Hey, dude, I don't know how much you're in social media, but don't take those negative comments to heart. Don't respond to them. Look at the other things and like the constructive comments, take those to heart, and then let's move on. And one of the things is like, oh, you know, like that shit's gonna melt and stuff. It's like, oh, okay. Everybody always says that stuff. Like our buds handles that we carry for that are cut down, we put them in our pack. We strap them with bungee cords to our pack, and they're mostly protected by our back, between our back and our pack. And people, I put it on the Facebook once, and people went nuts, like it's gonna melt, crazy, blah blah blah. And it's like, oh, okay. I don't know if you fight a lot of training fires, but like you go in there, you absorb, and you melt your helmet. Cool, that's on you. But I go to a lot of I don't go a lot. I go to real fires, and I'm like, yeah, we've melted a couple of helmets, but realistically, if that thing melts between my back and my pack, we have a lot of issues going on. But if it does, I just replace it. We're gonna move on. It's gonna be okay.
I love it, man. Okay, there's so many discussions, but I'm getting back to the questions from the audience here. Man. No, I'm skipping some of these. How do you come by? I like this from Macy Weber. Wants to know, speaking of splitting your truck when searching, how do you combat the argument of not utilizing the driver as part of your search crew? Example, our driver has too many responsibilities on the outside.
Of a ladder truck?
That they didn't specify, but
okay. Is that what I think that's what he said on the truck, but like,
yeah, he did say truck, but I don't know if they're using it as a generic
truck and engine. Well, if they're pumping, they got responsibilities. They can also throw a ladder. Yeah, so like the FDNY, they leave their chauffeur on the pedestal. But if you listen to like Pete Partridge out of Newark, he retired out, but he's a SOC chief, is that they didn't have the manpower to leave a person at the pedestal. They had shit to do. You know, they were running with like either 2-1 or something at the time back in the war years at times versus 4-1, 5-1, 6-1. So, you know, the argument of that, I guess, is just more of priority. What is the priority of your department? We have to get on the same page. Of like, so if you have a truck, you have the engine company, their priority is stretching line. If the fire's not located, the priority of truck work is going to be to locate the fire, and then it's going to be locating victims. So if you have 4 on that rig, they say how many people they had on that rig?
He said 4. He
Okay,
did
so
mention 4.
4 is like the problem with 4 on a rig on a truck and leaving the truck guy outside, the driver, is that you take 4, you can't. What are you going to do? You're going to have a 3 and 1, so you're going to have outside, which would be fine. You can go search inside with 3, and you can leave the outside truck for like throwing ladders for egress and stuff like that. But then on the inside, most departments are going to allow you to split that again and go 1 and 2. So if you have a 2-story or something of the sort, that's the issue, is that you're not going to send 2 up and 1 down, or 1 up and 2 down. But if you take your 4 and then you split them this way, and then it's like the outside truck guy, what is he going to do? He's going to force doors and throw ladders. Okay, can't they have been the outside team? So the inside team forces the front door, searches for fire, then searches for life. The inside team, the outside team, they can soften the structure, throw ladders, and then search for people. So, but they're working together. And so, like those companies, that's how I do it. Is 2 and 2. Is like it might take a little bit longer for these 2 to get inside, because you might give them taking bars off of windows or something of the sort. Which, if you're like you don't have other companies coming, but at least you have 2 people to work with to validate that they can go inside and search a whole area. And so then you can go in and if they find a victim, they can rescue the victim. Probably like, what is it? 23% of the time is one person, 2 people. I think it's another, like, let's say it's 40%. So it's like 60-something% with 1 or 2 people. So like they can make their own rescue while there's people searching. But if you do this and you split them, they find a victim, you take this whole company out. Well, who the fuck is searching? Nobody. So.
No, it's the argument, and it's a tough. Yeah, definitely. Like it. Great stuff. I want to get to this one. Rob Fisher coming at you. What's your trigger? And you kind of touched on this earlier, but I know you can dig in. He said, what's your trigger for when to use an oriented search, assuming you want to split when possible?
What's my trigger for oriented search, assuming that I want to split it when possible? Well, oriented search for us, is going to be 3 people off of an engine, because you have your pumper operator and then you have your 2 firefighters and me. Or you're going to have a 4-person crew, and we're going to split anyways. Like if you're going to go all in for search. I don't understand. I don't know. So those are the options you're going to probably have. So if we're going to go with 4 and we're going to split 2 and 2, your oriented search, they're always oriented as in someone has to guide the search and coordinate it. So when we get tighter, the conditions, what triggers me, and then when you have 3, what wouldn't allow me to like send one guy you get the right rooms, you get the left rooms, and then I go far, and then I start searching my own rooms and work back, would be water's not on the fire. We haven't, like, if water's not on the fire, then I need to listen up and probably be in the hallway. And I'm worried about the fire coming up the stairs. I'm worried about the fire rolling down to the hallway where we're at. That would be my trigger, is like water's not on the fire, because fire's already been located, or we wouldn't be searching for people. Because with the 3 or the 2 and 2, we'd already be searching for fire anyways. So that wouldn't be a part of the trigger that fire's not located, because that would be the priority. So does that make sense, Corley?
Yes. Yeah. No, you broke it down very well. Very well. Love it.
So
Love it.
Those conditions would only be water's not on the fire, realistically.
Right.
And they're not overwhelming. But we train on listening to the air of like, hey, we got water on the fire. Hey, fire's knocked down. If they're calling for a second line, that's a trigger. That means shit's happening. I might back up and be like, we got to get a little tighter. We might back up a little bit. We're like, what the hell is going on? I might help stretch a line. Like then we're playing a little audible game of like, dude, they need help, because we can't do our job unless they do their job.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Rob. Great question. Great answer. Dirk coming at you with another one, which is search crew with or without a hose line.
Oh, that's a softball.
I know.
let's break it up though. Like this is a big discussion. This is a big discussion that's getting pushed by programs to
Sure.
search the hose line. And why? So the answer, like the biggest part was like, why are you searching with a hose line?
Well, they're
And
yeah,
most,
yeah.
well, why? Why
They're
correlate?
always going to say safe. It's safer. It's safer. It's safe. They're always going to
It's
say that.
safer.
Right.
Is it safer though? So, what kills most of our firefighters
Uh,
on the fire ground?
I'll say probably still obesity, but
Exertion.
yeah.
So exertion is number one, right? So if we believe that we are creating a safer environment because we show up, search pulls a line. So now you're going to have a 50-year-old dude pull a line. So you're gonna take more time to get inside. You're gonna stretch this line that takes energy. You're not gonna pull dry, because if a department is pulling dry and searching with a dry line, there's no way. There's no department that's, oh, you have to search the line, but it's gonna be dry. No way. So then they're gonna make it wet on the outside, and then they're gonna have to push hose. And so now, to get upstairs of a two-story structure, how many people does it take to actually stretch a line and go around just a couple
Pinch points, yeah.
thresholds and then up a stairs? Like at least two, but that's gonna be slow and it's gonna be messed up.
Very slow, yeah. Without
Three,
people on the
4,
pinch points, yeah.
and then what's the energy gonna be?
Right.
Are you going to be closer together? Or are you going to be like, oh no, you're on the nozzle, I'm back here. Oh, I got to go downstairs and go get some line.
Get some more hose, yeah.
That's dangerous. Like dangerous. But like, so now you're focused on what? You're focused on stretching a line. Your exertion's going up. Your breathing rate's going up. Your heart rate's going up. Your stress is going up. Your bottle air is going down quicker, and so you have less time inside. And so we're like, that is going to kill us first. And then you go upstairs and we go down a hallway and we find a victim. Are you going to pull the victim out with the hose line? There's about
No.
zero chance.
Right.
About zero chance. So where's the logic in that? Because if you're going to go pull the victim back down the stairwell, we'll say, aren't you going to go probably past the fire? Most likely. Like, I'm going to guess, like, if you're stretching the line, there's not a line ahead of you, you're going to go past the fire. And so now when we get in this spot of having a victim, we don't all of a sudden magically need protection, and we don't need that safety, and we're going to go past the fire and whatnot. You're already exerted. You are increasing our exertion, which is going to increase the heart attack rate, exhaustion rate, and which is going to increase our risk and increase the risk of our civilians. So we need to quit talking about safety. It either increases or decreases our risk. It either increases or decreases the civilians' risk. But we got to look at it as a whole, as a plate. So just that time it takes you to stretch to the upstairs. Are you increasing or decreasing the risk because you're increasing time?
Oh, yeah, it's going up. It's going up.
Increasing risk of the civilians. But also, you're not decreasing your risk because of fire protection with a line. Because as long as we have an understanding that fire has been located, which is the number one priority, engine company or truck, doesn't matter who's on scene, that we understand the extension. And if they're spraying water on it, are they doing their job or not? Like, if they're not doing their job, we should probably listen to the radio. But I guarantee if we're pushing hose upstairs and we're trying to search and do hose line, are we listening to the radio? Hell no. Are we listening for cops of our civilians? Hell no. Are we calling out? Nope. We're just trying to just puff down our bottle, get upstairs with this hose line, and then our searches are shit. They're not good because you're taking the most stressful, most energy, the most stressful like job on the fire ground, which is search, as in like stress and like exertion, and then you're adding a hose line. But it's false. Why don't we we need to educate our chiefs, we need to educate our firefighters. Hey, when you show up, do a layout. What's this layout doing? Where's it at? 2-story, 1-story. Where's the bedrooms? Where's the fire? Okay, fire location, fire extension. Is there a line on the fire? Is the line being stretched? Are they overwhelming the fire? Yes or no? After that, dude, what are you worried about? Falling through the floor? You're worried about running out of air? Why would you need a line? The other thing would be, oh, they need a way out. well, if we would teach layouts in our areas, in our residential structures, especially single and multifamily, we have egresses everywhere. We're not worried about. I'm not falling a hose out in a residential structure. That ain't happening. You think we're gonna get all stretched out, ran over, and all of a sudden we're gonna follow a hose out, and then we're gonna bumps to the pump, smooth to the fire, or whatever it's called, and it's like, oh yeah, yeah, let's go, let's go. Like, what about what you have a heel? You have the heels out there searching on their own already, so if they can search a little bit of area off the hose line, why do those ding dongs on the other story or down the hallway need it? So personally, how do we do that? We got to get the chiefs, the ops chiefs, the training chiefs, the battalion chiefs, the decision makers in the room to have discussions with us. But we have to do it with discussion, not argument. Don't get emotional. Come with their numbers that they might want, but also come with the backing of why we do things. Fire located, yes or no? Stretching lines, yes or no? Water in the fire, yes or no? Overwhelming the fire, yes or no? That's it.
Dude, makes it simple, man. I love it. I absolutely love it. Some
Cool.
questions here. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. No, go.
I
Go.
was
Go.
gonna say one of the things that I've been talking about that I think helps people search, and I don't know if it can be false, is that when I go out and search, when I move through the structure, when I feel something, searchable, yes or no? Yes or no? It's either like, is it a bed? Is it a possible crib? Is it a couch? Is it the floor? That's a yes. Done. No, move on. Then you come to an object, you touch it. Is it a human? Yes or no? If there's a question, then that's a yes. As in, like, you have to get your face in it, you gotta feel it more. But other than that, people like to touch things, like they like to touch lamps, and they over
Oh, figuring out what it actually is
figuring out what it is.
instead
So
of saying not a human, go on.
yep, it's not a human. Go on. So that's a little quick tip.
Yeah, well, no, because if it's not a human, who cares what it is?
Yeah, but yeah, I watch a lot of helmet cam that people send me, and oof.
Gotcha. No, no, no. I love it. I love it. I'm still looking at you without the mustache going, who am I talking to right now? Yeah, it's different. You look younger.
Ooh, how old do I look?
I don't know. Let's go with
Oh, that's real nice, dude. You softball.
yeah, pretty
Come
much.
on, man.
Someone asked, because I want to answer this question because it is important to me. It's a passion project. McWilliams has been involved in it for almost the entire time, if not longer. But the search book is the book of search will be available by Thanksgiving. So
Oh,
we're like 5-6 weeks away. Provided there is no more hiccups. The drills, all the articles are in. The last few are being formatted. The drills are coming in, and man, it looks amazing. So you asked where you could get it. It's free. It's going to be a PDF. It's free to the entire fire service. It's free to be shared, free to be downloaded, free to be printed. You can do whatever you want with it. It's free to the fire service, donated by so much effort from so many people. You can also purchase a hardback version of it. It'll be available on Amazon. And Amazon is where you'll be able to get it. And all of the proceeds from the sale of that book will go to Firefighter Rescue Survey. So that's the plan for the Book of Search, and it's like 5 to 6 weeks away. McWilliams wrote 2 articles that are in it. Windows, Why We Search. I believe I might get the actual title wrong. And
dude, I don't even know what I wrote. I wrote so much crap. But how many authors? How
there
many
are
people?
43 authors, 45 articles. The actual final number of drills, we don't know how many yet, but the target we were aiming for was 24 different drills. You can just flip to and see it. So anyway, it's very, very close. It's very, very close.
Hey, Corley, who's holding us up? Name them right now.
No. All the authors are in. All the authors are in. In fact, it's now down to just me finishing up the formatting. And what I want to do is once they're all formatted, I'm going to get people, vigilantes probably, and other people that volunteer. I'm going to send them copies of the individual articles and say, man, just proofread it, because I start to not see the forest for the trees, and I'll look right past a typo after editing 45 of them.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll be sending them to authors I'll be sending some to McWilliams. I'll be like, hey, this is Fisher's article. Will you look it over? That type of thing. So, and just find the typos. Grammarly's really good. Google's really good. It's going to be awesome, man. I'm very
excited about it.
I am excited about it. It's turning out, what is it called? The synergistic effect. It's turning out way bigger than the sum of its parts. It's cool. It really is cool. So, with all that being said, one of my favorite things to ask firefighters that come on the scrap is book or books that they think firefighters should be reading.
Well, all right. Going back to my roots, bro.
I love it.
Big time of year. Woo! The night before Christmas.
Oh, okay. So Dickens.
All right. So last time we talked about the reason why the Polar Express, but the night was the night before Christmas. Obviously, like I talked about, like family first, but also having the traditions. Is that there's a lot of I love Christmas.
Okay.
November 1st, Christmas starts like I don't over like whatever. Christmas season starts. And what it does to me is that, like, I remember my childhood, how great it was because of that. And I want that for my kids. And the thing is that it builds that up. And so, the traditions of like just being excited and being able to be a part of them, but like the thing, being able to spend time with them, even though they've heard it before, they expect it. My children expect to be read to. They're 11 and 13 now, and but they still expect that. They love it and they enjoy it. But like it's family time. What about your traditions in your family? Do you guys have dinner together? We have dinner together almost every single night that I don't work. We have we have family time. We have
That's awesome.
dinner together. We make sure it's special. I go greet him at the bus stop. Like I want to be the best dad ever. They're saying that this generation of fathers is like spends like an exorbitant amount more time than two generations ago with their children, and that's important.
I love it. I don't. Here's the thing. Like, okay, you got more books?
Yeah, what?
Y-
What do you
No,
got?
no, no. We always put a list out of what the scrap person said, and there's no context. So when it says Justin McWilliams, "'Twas the night before Christmas," there's going to be no context on the list. But
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
in context, it's awesome. It's amazing. It's a great. I love the tradition building
These
thing.
people.
Yeah, no doubt. But it's just funny to me because it's going to say "'Twas the night before Christmas" with no
Oh yeah.
context. All right, go on.
Cloud Cuckoo Land. Have you guys seen that?
Okay.
All
No,
right.
I.
So this, what I love about this, it's about a little girl that grows up in what ends up being. She's been told that they're moving away from Earth and they're going off of Earth, and like her dad's a whatever. It doesn't really matter what he is, but they live within this pretty much this spaceship, and she doesn't have any friends, and a computer becomes her friend, and like there's no way out until we get to our destination, which she'll be an elder by then. And towards the end of the book, and I'm going to give it away, I don't care
I
because
was like,
that's
don't tell me spoiler now. I want to read it.
I'm going to give the spoiler because the problem is that at the end of I won't give it all spoiler. The
All right.
end of the book, something she makes a decision to go against the norm, and she does something different that changes her life. And I think this is so important to teach our children and firefighters is that you got to question everything. And she questioned everything, and she questioned her father. And what that did is that the outcome of her life, even though she was disappointed in what happened before, what she discovered, her life is going to be much better afterwards. So
Oh,
don't always follow the line at Disneyland because it's the longest. Because go to the front of the line and you might see that's that there's a whole other line that starts halfway up. So I try to teach my children.
okay. Okay.
Undaunted Courage. You read that?
I have not.
Oh shit, man. Meriwether Lewis, Thomas Jefferson, and the opening of the American West, bro.
I have not read Undaunted Courage. I haven't read it.
So what I love about this book is that I talked about it in Phoenix a little bit. Is that we have ICs that do not trust our firefighters to go through windows and perform searches with multiple people or at all, or go beyond the door or search through. Like they all like accountability. Like your life is in my hands. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. That's not true. We should be trained up so that our officers, they're in my hands. Like I get to make the decisions. Like they're not all on one. They're not. They're just not. And the thing is here is that Thomas Jefferson, you know, he is
I've heard of him. He wrote a few things
the president.
back in the day.
Yeah. He allowed Meriwether and Lewis to have an open credit card across the nation, which wasn't a nation at that time. They were able to write debt as much as they needed. They're going across what is now known as the United States, uncharted territory to the whites. That with only knowing him so much, but yet he valued his opinion, and he didn't have all the accountability, but he knew that he trusted him. And I think that's something that's lost in the fire service, is that we need to make sure we train and until we have trust with one another to make those decisions. Because without them, without going beyond our borders of what was the states back then, we wouldn't have what we had today.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And very different from most of the books suggested normally. So I think you might win the award for most off the wall books suggested on the scrap.
I'm not a huge fire buff, bro. Like,
No, I get it.
I'm not a
Hey,
huge fire buff.
that's not a complaint. It's just it is an award. You just won though.
I did just go ride with in February with 30 truck with Keith Nicolello and stuff, and then went to the Rock. Like, that was pretty sick.
I can only imagine, brother. That, yeah.
In Harlem.
Awesome, brother. Okay, so that gets us to the books, which takes us to, which I just found out today. This is the 5 questions for firefighters. Now, you've been on before. You've had the 5 questions before, but you've never had these questions.
No. And when I listen to your scrap, I stop them before I hear them because I don't want to know.
I got you.
But then you told me a little bit before we started.
I did give you a little heads up just so that wasn't catching you completely flat-footed.
Yeah.
I gave basically he hasn't seen them before we started the scrap. I gave him like a quick 30-second read. So here we go. There is no right or wrong answers. The points are arbitrary. They're assigned by me with the help of the audience. So here we go. Justin McWilliams, your second attempt at the 5 questions for firefighters, this time version 3.2. So here we go. What is the skill that has carried you through your fire service career?
Well, and you say skill, I'd say my ability to overcome adversity. Like, I've talked about it before in some other podcasts and whatnot, is that, like, my parents, they didn't spoon feed me anything. Like, I remember them talking about a story about I was moving wood pile to wood pile, and then I dumped it over in the rain, and I start crying as a little baby, and like they make fun of me about it, but like there was reason behind what they did, and that when the fire service came, man, like my fire service career didn't start out great. I was fired as a volunteer. I didn't get hired as a full on with another department that I was a scab at because my paperwork didn't line up when I became a volunteer with them. I went to another department that they prided themselves on firing people, and I quit with no job after getting off of probation. My current job, not different administration, I got put off on leave for a month, and they tried to fire me. And the thing is that one of the people that really helped me through that was my current fire chief. Is like, he calls me up and they're like, dude, man, they're trying to fire you, man. They're trying to make up paperwork. I created from that event there, I started having anaphylaxis to NSAIDs. Well, I didn't know that exactly. I was put in the hospital probably 5-6 times. I know I'm allergic to NSAIDs now because a couple years ago I tested again on duty, and we're going to a call, and I was like, dude, we're over. You gotta pull over, dude. I need some epi again. And they thought I was joking, but the thing is that the ability to look back on those times and the growth and the age and the adversity is like, I'm a way better officer, person, human, father than I would have ever been without going through those times. And those are the times that I get it. Like, I've had G's go, oh, you're going to be better from this. It's like you're putting me through a shithole. And even though it did overall, and I eventually forgave them. Actually, Anthony Castros called me out in Phoenix a year and a half ago about it. And he's like, dude, there's some demons in you. And I'm like, fuck you, man. We're at a bar. And then, but I followed up with them and I forgave those guys. And it's made me a way better person.
Good, man. And so resiliency.
Yeah, whatever. Like you said,
Yeah.
skills. I don't know words very well, bro. So
Awesome, man. No,
resilience.
I love it. I love it.
Resilience.
Resiliency.
Resilience.
Overcoming adversity. I love it. Max points on number 1. Here we go. Number 2. It's Jobtown. It is time. You have to think of the scene from Backdraft where they're slapping that cassette deck into that cassette into that cassette deck. What song? It's Jobtown. You're heading to the fire. What song are you playing while en route?
Well, I don't control the music on my rig. There's a reason for it. And my daughter's sitting here watching this stuff right now. She just came in. She's laughing because she knows I don't know anybody's name. We talked about this right before this thing. It's like I don't know any celebrities' names and whatnot. And so I would definitely default to them. They're going to be rolling on it. But is it called Crazy Train? Is it called Crazy Train?
Ozzy?
And yes. And the reason is because that used to be the recruiting video that I remembered as a youngster that that was like that was on that Clackamas Fire used to use, and I never wanted to work for Clackamas Fire until I started there. I thought they were a bunch of prissies and stuff like that. I didn't think they were the department I went to or wanted to go to. I eventually went there, and I love it. But that would be the one that's gonna pump me up. And
I love it.
I'm gonna get my crew involved on it too.
Is that the first Randy Rhoads? Is that the first Ozzy we've had, or if we had any Black Sabbath before? I don't know. I'm sure they'll tell me. I don't think we've had it. Sabbath, Ozzy, or Rhoads. Anyway, love it. Max points, by the way, for Crazy Train. What is number 3? What is your favorite fire service tradition?
The table. I love the table, and I love, dude. It's a hard one for me for the morning table because you get the other crew involved, and we have guys that hold over for hours. We BS, we hang out, and we get to talk about their fires the day before or their calls, the problems. But the dinner time table with new guys is probably one of my favorite times because we'll sit there for 6-7 hours, and I'm not exaggerating. And talk about the stories of the past and about the things we've overcome because we can get down in some dark times and those stories are like, no way, that didn't happen, and I'm telling stories that came way before me, 20, 30, 40 years before me. So I like the table. The table, there's nothing that matches it.
I agree, dude. That's the absolute easy max points because there is nothing that compares to the Firehouse Kitchen table anywhere.
That's what I want to promote. One of the reasons I always want to go inside, and I always want to be part of the brotherhood. That's why I don't want to promote.
It's hard to knock. Number 4, this one's on the clock. You get 1 minute only to answer because people took forever to answer. It's the reason we put the clock on it. But
Sure.
4 only to put on your Mount Rushmore of the fire service. No honorable mentions. You get 4, and you get 1 minute to do so. So who are the 4 people you would put on your Mount Rushmore of the fire service? And go.
All right, we talked about this before. Here's the issue. We're going to go with Mount Rushmore as in who impacted me, not who I want to fight fire with because I've only fought fire with people within my department that I've worked with. So who I'm going to put up there? Cody Tristriel. For sure. He has impacted my life. He has allowed me to be able to be on today and be able to impact everybody else. I believe like Lombardo, that guy gave us the time of day 10 years ago plus. He came down, he donated his time he was diving in and out of windows in the rain, snow, mud. Like he was giving us his all. And he was a retired chief then. Pressler, like he's up there, he's doing the same thing. He came out with Lombardo. Those two guys, those two ding dongs, they were crazy when they were children. Like they were acting like children, just making smoke puffs when they were at firemanship and stuff like that, and when doing just training at like near my department. And you gotta have a 4th.
You don't have to. You put 3 on your Mount Rushmore, but
shit, man.
You're also out of time.
Well, good. Let's roll on.
Number 5. Number 5. You've had this question before, and we'll see if any rookies or anybody's changed your mind. But there's heavy fire. There is searchable space. Would you rather be assigned to the nozzle or first in on VES?
Well, so when you say first in on VES, are we on what rig are we on? An engine or pulling the line? Hands down.
Heavy
Like,
fire,
yeah,
searchable space.
yeah. So it
Would
must
you
be two
rather?
companies showing up.
Would you rather?
Yeah. Well, personally, I would rather be diving through windows, searching through smoke, getting my shit beat in, and going for the searches. But 99.9% of the time, that first due engine company is going to be pulling a line. Right, girls?
Yeah.
My two girls are over here waiting to get tucked in and whatnot. They
Right
know.
on.
They know.
Love it.
And you know what? I would put those girls with the 10 minutes of operation, a lot of the times, with just a little bit of education, I would put them inside those windows with me.
I love it.
With
I
an
absolutely love there
with
you
a
go.
mask on.
There you go. Window search max points. There you go.
I can smash them with it.
I love it, brother. Absolutely love it. And that officially brings a scrap number 268. It puts it in the books. My brother, Justin McWilliams, again, amazing evening. Thank you for spending it with us. Thank you for allowing your kids to stay. I don't know. It's only like 7 o'clock there, isn't
Oh,
it?
it's young there.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock here.
They
But
just like watching me, make fun of me.
if someone wants to get a hold of you, wants to ask you a question, wants to pick your brain or even insult you, what's the best way to do so?
503 729 2734. 503 729 2734. Text me first. Let me know who you is because I don't, my phone is on silent 100% of the time. It does not ring. I'll maybe check a text. I have like 500 texts that I don't check already. But if you call me, we're going to have a conversation. You email me, do other smoke signals, even now, maybe smoke signals, but I don't have time for that. Like, I just get over involved. Like, I get anxiety about the shit, and I got time for my kids, man, my wife.
Love it. There you go. Housekeeping as we wrap it up, go to patreon.com/the vigilantes. The Discord is up and running. It's very active. It's a blast in there. If you haven't been a part, if you're a vigilante and not gotten the Discord, man, we have discussions every day, like-minded souls. They're the ones putting together the search drills right now for the drill book. Not to mention their impact on the scrap itself, the 5 questions, who's going to come on, all that stuff. If you want to be a part of it, one of the coolest things you can be a part of is the after party where we get to go and roast the guest. We're getting ready to roast. McWilliams said, "Bring it on, challenge accepted." And he's looking forward to the roast. And we know how that goes. So we'll see. Coming up on the scrap next week is Captain Dale Jenkins. Promises to be an amazing scrap.
Be a good one.
After that, it's a mega scrap, Foxtrot. It is featuring none other than Frank Lieb and Billy Goldfeder. They are bringing on some of the people that wrote the 30 Fires You Should Know. They're going to be discussing the 30 Fires You Should Know book, and it promises to be a good one. And then after that, it's two days before the election, is none other than Mike Lombardo coming back for his second appearance on the scrap. So, man, it's McWilliams kicking off this little fall season in style. So all that being said, enough jabbering from me. Let's get to the after party. Thank you once again, Justin McWilliams, for sharing your evening with us and being such a phenomenal guest. Audience,
Is anybody left?
yeah, dude, they're already getting into the after party too. Audience, you make the scrap magical. It would not exist without you. Thank you for tuning in live. Thank you for the phenomenal questions. I love you all. Remember, mutts don't scrap. I hope the tones stay silent unless it is burning. Stay safe out there.